Welcome back everyone to the War Room and the War Table, where we are putting together Days of Decision and World in Flames with duct tape and chewing gum, because we're using World in Flames 5th edition and Days of Decision 3. And we are in 1938. Last time, the weather went, well, last time a lot of things happened. It wasn't just the weather, it was all the things, wasn't it? Politically, Austria is no more. It has been subsumed by Germany. France and the Commonwealth signed a non-aggression pact, which sounds benign enough, but it's the first step towards more serious types of treaties, like cooperation and a full alliance where they can integrate their various military forces. And I had something there. And yeah, that is probably the biggest things that happened last turn in politics. Militarily, the focus is still on Asia, on the Chinese front, which went from freezing snow and horrible blizzards to perfectly clear weather, summer weather, in the blink of an eye, and that opened up the possibility for further Japanese advances. It is looking rather bleak for China at the moment, because the road to Changsha is wide open unless the Chinese can do something about this. Don't know that they want to sacrifice a resource down here to the Japanese advance, but I also don't know if they have a choice. But we'll find out, won't we? As we plow on. It is now May-June 1938, and we are heading into politics. And as always, I have prepped the bets, the bidding, for who gets to do what this time. Japan bids 5 plus 2 equals a 7. They will go first. Germany bets 2 plus 4 is 6. And then everybody else bets a 1, which means that we're going to retain basically this order. So Italy goes down 1 step, and yeah, that's all. That is the change, with Japan being first. That's the shuffle. And Japan, of course, has not been very active politically before, so I think all the other major powers are a little bit surprised by this, perhaps. Japan gets to do a political option, and the option will be to ally Siam. This is a minor alliance, IPO 3, and this means that Japan is going to try to ally with Siam. So let's see what happens with that. We're going to try to make that happen. I'm just taking a note here for myself. Like any good journalist. Alright, let's have a look here at all the factors that go into making a minor alliance. So, to make an alliance, we have to roll a d10. And we have to add and subtract a whole bunch of stuff. First of all, we can add the 1 to the result for each factory and resource marker you have in that minor. Japan has no resource markers or factory markers in Siam, because Siam does not have any resources at all. There we go. That's Siam right here. Bangkok is the capital. And there are no resources, there are no factories. Add the miner's willpower to the die roll. The miner's willpower is... where am I? Oh, there I am. Let's have a look, shall we? Willpower for Siam is... Siam is a 6. That's a lot of... So, the lower the willpower, the better for the miner in this game, basically. Subtract your initiative position. That's a 1. So now we have a +5. Subtract the distance in hexes on the status display between your major power's political marker and the miners. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So we had a +5, now we have a +1. Subtract 2 if the miner is hostile, and 3 if you're trying to break an alliance. Is the miner hostile to Japan? It is not. So we have a +1 in total. If the result is more than 0, you succeed in making or breaking the alliance. With a +1, I can't really fail, can I? Japan succeeds in allying with Siam. This will be a Japanese marker under Siam. They are now officially allies. Headline: Bangkok aligns with Tokyo as regional tensions rise. Tokyo today announced the signing of a political accord with Siam, marking a decisive step in the growing partnership between the two nations. Diplomatic sources describe the agreement as a mutual understanding designed to preserve stability in Southeast Asia amid mounting unrest in China. Observers note that Siam now stands markedly closer to Japan's sphere of influence. While not yet formally entering the conflict, Bangkok's trajectory appears clear. The balance of power in the region has shifted quietly but unmistakably. So Japan will spend 5 of its bid points because that is what it bet. Having 3 left, it will spend some money as well, having played Minor Alliance. That is 5 money, which is a lot of money, honestly. Japan has now -3 money. That's a bit of an ouch. And then we will have to see here. As per treaty chart, we have numerous factors to take into account here. US entry and otherwise. So, Siam. The US entry of 2. If you're making a treaty with Siam, apparently. So Japan will go up a little bit in its US entry from a 41 base to a 43 base, which gets it to 11, and that doesn't actually change the other US entry factors at all. Alright, we go on to the other effects. So, making a treaty. Oh, that's where we want. Oh, I'm sorry. She didn't declare war on Siam. We declared a treaty with Siam. It's only a 1 in US entry for that, not a 3 at all. Okay, I was looking at the wrong chart. Let's revise that, shall we? I think we were at 41, weren't we? Let's see now. What was I at before? Yeah, okay. I had not even added the correct amount, so way to go. You don't need coffee. I don't need coffee. You do. An effective US entry of 10 to Japan, -2 actually to Germany, and the -8 to Italy. I don't know why they were incorrect, but there we are. We go on with the treaty chart here. Siam. It's only a +3 to Siam. Literally nobody else cares. Put a +3 here. Japan obviously gets the chance to activate a minor country, and surprise to surprise of all surprises, they will activate Siam. Nobody could see that coming, right? So -4 to the Commonwealth. This is the problem here, because +3 would get it over here because we're going across the line here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we want to go to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can take it to 7 like that. That is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that counts as stepping 1 step away from the Commonwealth. That is a minus, that costs 3, and then it will take one more step because it's minus 4. So it will go there. And then we have 3 steps towards Japan. And because this is in the same zone as Japan is in, I could even do... We could even make it go up to here, like there. 2 steps to move into this area, and then 1 more step to move up there. Siam is now solidly in the Axis camp. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. But Japan cannot join Siam in as a minor country in any type of wars just yet. The flag has to be on top of Japan's own flag. And that was that for Japan. Let's see if the turn ends like that. This is just me putting the die in the box there. Alright, so let's go. The turn does not end. Germany had bid 2 points. The outcome was not quite here to Germany's liking, even though everybody else bid a 1. Let's just say that there are some factors here that goes into Germany's decision making. This is going to be a bit of a high-risk play. Germany is going to propose a treaty, level 1, with Italy. Major power pact. But nothing is going to happen until Italy can respond, and the chances that Italy can respond are in fact quite small this time. Even so, that was the 2 bid points. Germany's advantage, of course, is that it has political efficiency of 5, so next turn it can bid a single money and still get 5 back if needed. Germany will activate a minor country. And which one should be activated now? We have Belgium. We have the Netherlands. Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia would be great to activate, honestly. Because then... Yes, let's do that. Because then, even though there's a minus 4 to Germany here, there's also plus 5 to the Commonwealth, which will disrupt the French production, really. So, plus 5 to the Commonwealth. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3. So, we can do like this. The Czechs will move over here. That costs 2 points. And then we have 3 more. So, 1, 2, 3. Now it's top on the Commonwealth, which means that the Commonwealth gets all the production from the Czechs instead of France. But we're going to be sneaky here. We have minus 1 to Italy, which is not going to help very much right now. We have minus 4 to Germany. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is enough to move Czechoslovakia away from... Oh, you know, I had a... What was it? 5, wasn't it? To the Commonwealth. 1. Thank you for the follow! Store sucks. 5, didn't we? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's moving away from France. So that costs an extra point for every step. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's as far as it gets. So it's not actually getting on top of the Commonwealth flag. Now we have the minus to Germany. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 is a minus, right? But this is also 11. So, to be really nasty, we can do this. That will cost nothing in comparison to France, because it's 2 hexes in both directions. So it will be 2 points, like that. Now it's 11. If we get to 12 over here, that would be an extra point. And that's as far as we can go, because we only have 2 points left here, and Italy's will be gone. So Czechoslovakia will end up in the same sphere as the US, strangely, which means that France is no longer getting the production from Czechoslovakia, nor is the Commonwealth, but the US will have it, because they're in the same sphere. Yeah, that is that, I guess. That's... We've moved Czechoslovakia, and we have been trolling France. Okay, that is the proposal here. A non-aggression pact between Germany and Italy. Brotherhood between the fascist powers. Let's see if that works. It's a long shot here because Italy is far away. It's going to be hard for them to respond. But we'll roll the die and see if it happens or not. 1 to 3 and the turn ends. And the turn ends. So, yeah, nobody else got to play anything here. Alright then. Everybody else was bidding a 1. So, Commonwealth will now have 5, effectively. It bid 1, gains 2 back, net. France is the same situation. The US is the same situation, because the US has indeed 3 political efficiency after having bought some political efficiency. Italy bid 1, did not get to do anything, so it's the same result there. They all have the same political efficiency. We have 4 countries with 3. The Soviets also just bid the single 1. They have more political efficiency, so they gain 9. They gain 3 after. So plus net. Net plus 3. Words are very difficult for me today for some reason. And that was it. That is all of them. So, yeah, that rolled out the turn really fast. Germany now wishes that it had played a different option, but too late. Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of tug of war and strategizing for various policy options in the summer to come. For some reason. I don't know why I think that. I'm just looking here at the German troops around Czechoslovakia and guessing wildly. Alright, we are going on to reinforcement stage. I took the liberty to edit the Chinese builds from last turn a little bit because they need to build like an infantry every turn. Chiang is coming back in together with an army. And let's just say that the Chinese need that really badly. It's going to be summer and it's going to be a long summer. I'm going to put Chiang and the army in Changsha, because it's a factory city and we don't want to lose it to just a stomping Japanese unit, basically. We'll have 2 infantry armies to Japan. Let's see, did we have any infantry here? Yes, we did. We have 2 infantry armies from last turn. Okay, let's put them in Nagoya then, I guess. Japan officially has more infantry than they have transport capacity right now. Which is a nice problem to have, in a sense, I guess. Though I feel like Japan should build more transport. We'll have 1 infantry army and 1 tank army for the Soviet Union. It's the first tank army on the Soviet board, on the board for the Soviets. And we're going to put them both in Vladivostok, just so that Japan can feel the tension building on this border. This USSR could declare war at any moment, as far as Japan is aware. So that is... that is a possibility. And that is all the reinforcements from that spiral. I have 2 spirals. For reasons. On this side, we will have some German reinforcements, including naval reinforcements. Gneisenau and Scharnhorst, and some submarines are coming online. Coming onto the scene. The Americans are getting a destroyer group into the construction pool, and the Saratoga and the Enterprise are going onto the map, and these guys have to go to Pearl. So let's put them on the west coast. technically that is a city, isn't it? So I guess we'll put them straight into Lexington and the Yorktown are on the west coast. So I guess Saratoga and the Enterprise are now in Hawaii. They have been launched officially. We have 2 French infantry corps arriving to the map, and the French are very happy to have them. If you haven't followed this game before, you will notice that there is no actual Spanish civil war at the moment. The Italians tried to trigger it earlier, but failed. They just moved Spain along the political spiral, and that was all that happened. We have British reinforcements here in the form of a transport and the HQ Wavell. And it's almost, they're planning to reinforce something here. Could it? We already have a HQ in North Africa. But if we're ever going to help the French, we're going to need an HQ in the UK as well to be able to land troops and so on. Of course, that requires another treaty level between the two, but I have a feeling that's going to come soon. And then we have all of these chaps. Not chaps, these are Germans, so they're not chaps. I don't know what we would call them. What do we call them? Okay, so we have 1 submarine, and the entire stack fell over. There we go. Fighter, a submarine. This is a transport, not a convoy. There's a destroyer group. Tactical bomber. These are Stukas, of course. And then we have no less than 4 submarine groups here. I'm just going to put them to the side. We all know they're in Kiel, right? Because there's no port it could be otherwise. I guess Hamburg, but Kiel is the safe place to be because that's where the Allies can't actually do a port attack. So we have 2 infantry corps coming in. And we can put 1 in Nuremberg, and we can put 1 in Vienna, because Vienna is now a homeland. We have 1 strategic bomber coming in. Let's put that one in Hamburg. These guys are dynamite. They mean business. We have Gneisenau and Scharnhorst coming in Kiel, of course. And a very decent fighter wing. I'm going to put that one in... Why not Leipzig? There's already a bunch of fighters here. So almost there's some kind of build-up going on against the Czechs. Almost. I don't know, you can't tell, but it's just an exercise. It's just an exercise in case of future shenanigans. If the Czechs were to attack the Germans, clearly the Germans have to be ready for it. So that's why. At least that is the explanation you will hear if you ask the German government. Which you probably shouldn't. Alright, we're going to initiative. That was not the initiative roll, that was just putting a die in the box. And here comes the initiative, and it is Axis initiative very much. They have a +1, and they have higher numbers, so it's a 6 against 2. So very much an Axis initiative. Let's have a look at what weather we can get. China wants the worst weather in the history of ever. And I don't know if they'll get it. A 6... in May-June is actually exactly what they want. It's not quite the worst they can get. Or is it? No, it's pretty much the worst they can get. So I guess the Chinese are happy. Mud in subtropical, monsoon in north monsoon. Only 1 attack allowed this turn. That might just save China. Because as long as there's 2 attacks going on, China is in trouble. So we're going to have a weather that is mud in Arctic Circle, clear in Arctic temperate Mediterranean, mud in subtropical, monsoon in north monsoon, and clear in the south monsoon. And with that, we go to the action phase. So, naval actions for the Axis. Yeah, the Japanese can do 2 such. And clearly we want to build this bridgehead even more. So let's go with these transports, with these infantry. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't have any port attacks. So here we go. Combined action, limited naval action, which is 2 actions for the Japanese. Strategic bombardment phase. The Japanese don't really have anything that can do strategic bombardment, I don't think. Oh, they have a 1 factor. And it can't even reach any factories, so that's not even a thing that we have to bother with. And what else do we have? A limited land action. Ground strike phase. Here's the question then. Where should we do a ground strike, if anywhere? Hangzhou is unfortunately behind a river, so that's not going to be a good place to attack. Nanjing is the obvious choice, isn't it? It's an assault table, though, because it is a city. It doesn't matter how many tanks we have. Knock, knock, store socks. Knock, knock. And welcome. So, we have Hatta, we have some Japanese paras. Yes, they exist. We have... The Chinese don't have an air force anymore. Let's see, what do we want to do here? The ground strike here is at 1 or 2. We do want to do a ground strike, don't we? We're not going to take Hangzhou, because... Changsha, because that is... There are Chinese forces there. We do not have enough troops landed yet to... So we have a choice here as the Chinese. They can either... I mean, we have 13 against 3. Is that an option we want to go with? That'd be 4 to 1, actually. And we can get a +1 from the aircraft here. So we have only 3 land moves with the Japanese. Moving these guys ashore would be 3 land moves, because we need to move these guys out of the port before they can move in. So then we can't move anything up here. On the other hand, if we want to strike here, that would be an assault table 4 to 1. It would also be the end of any attacks we can make this turn, so we have to pick this carefully. 5 defense here. We have 13 plus 10. That's 23 versus 5. We can get it up to 26. So that would be 5 to 1 on an assault table. We could also wait some impulses here to get more troops down here. We can get this 4-3. So this 7-4 can get here. We can get this guy here, 10, and then we can have 11. So we could have 10 plus 11 plus 13, which is 34 against 5. Remember Rouen. I don't remember Rouen. There's just nothing to remember in Rouen. It's almost like Stu Socks has played me before and crushed me utterly, because Stu Socks actually knows how to play this game very strategically, and I'm just here for the vibes. 6 to 1 assault table. At the time when you get the assault table, you want the 7 to 1 or 5 to 1. So it's still better than what we have now. So that's a good argument for waiting. I guess we're going to wait. And I'm going to do like this. The Imperial Guards will move down here. And we're going to move these guys in here to... This is actually the port of Xiamen. If you look at the Chinese map, it's not named here because it's a small town, only has a few million people living in it today. But how do I know that? Because I studied there for a year in my youth when I was but 21. Now I'm an old gray-haired man. We're obviously not going to attack here, or are we? I've just been doing all the planning for attacking Nanjing. But this is a resource, and this opens up everything here, doesn't it? So, that is also tempting, isn't it? We would then have, again, no blitz, because we don't have any tanks here. We would have 12 plus 9. 12 plus 9 divided by 4. I am a master mathematician. That is 5 to 1 as well. And we have Ushijima to unflip anything that goes horribly. So that would be our only attack, and then we could take a whole bunch of land down here, and there's nothing the Chinese can do about it, except railing people, of course. Which they would, I'm pretty sure. Though they would have to step back to do that, so there's that problem. Gee, the Chinese are so stretched right now. I don't think you can rail something from inside an enemy zone of control. But this is not in an enemy zone of control, as it happens. Give up Nanjing, move back to this, and just rail something down here just to keep a lid on. Okay, let's do this. 5 to 1, our only attack. No bonuses, because we didn't use any ground strikes. Because we can't get there with a ground strike. Does that mean that I should do this attack instead with a ground strike with a +1? Potentially. Let's do the ground strike and see what happens. Boom. Nope, we missed. So, that's all academic. Gonna rebase this guy here. Return to base there. I'm gonna do the 5 to 1 down there. Boom. We want to get all that. Oh, look at that. That's just brutal. 5 to 1 on the assault table. That's 2 shattered. Nothing is even flipped. The Chinese army that was guarding the resource inland from Xiamen has been completely shattered and destroyed. And these lads can move in there, like all of them, and not even flipped. Can't blitz because it's the Pacific map and we don't have any tanks, but it's still looking pretty grim for the Chinese at the moment, I would think. So major breakthrough in southern China. We need like more troops. This is bad. China is just barely holding on. Meanwhile, in the rest of the world, we have some Italians down by the border. We have some Italians by this border. We have some Italians up here. I have a couple of aircraft here that we should probably move somewhere else. We also have British aircraft here, so yeah, let's go. I could just rebase them, I guess. How far do we get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not far enough. So I guess 1, 2, 3, 4. But these can move 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can't see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just gets to Tobruk. Whoop. Yep, that's not a threatening move at all on behalf of the Italians. Rebasing tactical air to North Africa. Germany! Germany needs more troops. Just 1, 2, 3, 4 infantry just to keep the French border. And then more troops here as well. Just build. That's what Germany needs right now. Nothing to move, especially here. As long as the Spanish Civil War is not happening, there is no particular reason to keep the aircraft up here in Kiel. But you never know. There is a French coup cell here. No, not that Germany knows that, of course. There's been a lot of sneaking. Go south. Banzai. Yes, that is exactly what happened. Banzai charge that just absolutely destroyed it. Now the Chinese want the turn to end. And it's only the first impulse. Okay. We go on to the Allied impulse. And it's only going to be stepping like once. Because it's May, June, of course. It's summer. So we only have... Yep, only the one move for that. For the initiative. For the impulse tracker. Words are difficult sometimes. Alright. These are standing by in case of a civil war in Spain that still has not been triggered. Yeah, we don't have a whole lot we need to do with the allies here, honestly. We have 3 transports and Revel. We have... I don't even know why we have the convoy going through the Med here, because we have other convoys doing what they should be doing. Maybe just move these. That's at the start of the turn, really, but now we have like convoy reserves, I guess. I'll put them in Liverpool for now. Other than that, Britain and France have very little to do. It's really just China who needs to be active right now. And we have China, 1 naval move, yeah, as if they had a navy. 2, I don't know why they've listed a naval move here in this edition, because China never has a navy in this edition. China does get navy in later editions. 2 land moves, 1 strategic move. We do want to do a strategic move. Ground strike, aircraft rebase, strategic movement phase. We're forced to make a strategic move, aren't we? Hangzhou to Changsha. Because look at this. Here's the question though. Hong Kong is British, but does Canton count as Chinese? I've always been confused by this hex. It's a major port, but it's also not a major concern for the Chinese at the moment. So we're gonna rail these guys, the Yoke to Changsha. We're gonna move these guys there. That's 1 move. And then... here's the thing. Now these guys can snake around, which we don't like. We can't move anything. We can move 1 more unit. And I think we're gonna do this. No, we can't do that, because then they will grab this resource. That is really annoying. We can do this, but then they get Shanghai. On the other hand, Shanghai, this is just an empty space, right? And if the Japanese take these 2 cities, that spikes some US entry, which is not bad. So let's give up Nanjing. Let's give them the 3 cities. Why am I giving up anything? The Japanese have already done their 1 attack for the entire turn. They can't move into any spaces that the Chinese are standing on. So if I do this, I effectively give up 3 hexes for nothing. If I do this, the Japanese will move their next impulse, which is also bad. But it's not really any difference, because if they move there, I mean, they can move 1, 2, because there is no zone of control from this army on the Pacific map, and just grab both cities. They can also move 1, 2, and grab that one. But then, no, they wouldn't technically. Would they be out of supply? I guess they're, yeah, without Shanghai, they would be out of supply. So that's a problem. So if I were to move these guys here as Japan, I could move this guy there, and like they would be out of supply. We also don't want to create a gap here, because then Xi'an is in trouble. The communists can't really move much further here. They could pull back the line to behind the river. So, does that help in any way? I don't think so. Like, why would I want to give up the mountains? I do know that Chang will want to reorganize these lads here so they can move. So that's a screening force. I guess Kunming will be in trouble. Whatever happens now, we have 1 core, we have 1 unit 2 less for the Chinese to work with. That is a problem. But I don't really think that there's a whole lot else I can do with China. but not flipped. Yeah, out of supply, but not flipped. Which is also a problem. So that would make this the right move, wouldn't it? Okay, let's do that. Now they can't get to any more resources. It's just gonna be horrible stories coming out from Japanese doing bad things to the locals, as it were. Alright, we go on to the next Axis impulse, and it's gonna carry on being here in China. Japan can only move the 3 units, as before. I don't really see... There are things to gain here. Primarily down here with Hainan, which is a juicy resource. So, I need to know if this is like a... Is Hong Kong a Brit? Can I step there? I don't remember if I can step in Hong Kong. Because it's both... This is really annoying with this map. I only have 3 units to move. This is not a zone of control, because there's only 1 counter there. We would need another unit here. But this guy can't get any further than 1 step anyway. On the other hand, we have all the cities here to claim, including, much importantly, the port of Shanghai. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's 3 units. And it's also 3 cities. So that will make the US react horribly. Because now all the stories of things happening in China. Japan occupies a Chinese city. Yes, indeed. That is 4 times 3. So another jump of 12. Which is quite a lot. Another jump of 12. Where was I? Here we go. There. 12. So the US is absolutely outraged. Because now we have 54. So we will have 54 against Japan after that blitz into Shanghai. That kicks the US entry against Germany up to a 5. Against Italy down to a up to a -2. And against Japan up to a whooping 23. That is a quarter of the way to US entering the war. So that sends a shock through the American public as the Japanese army just storms on a rampage through China. Does anyone know if Japan can step into the Canton Hex? Probably can, right? But I don't know. I think not. I think they have to declare war on the Commonwealth before they can do that. Alright. How is China responding to this? We can ask. There's going to be this flanking maneuver from the Japanese, and we don't have enough units to keep this. We need to shorten the line further, but we don't want to because this is a resource. We just have to count on this turn ending. I could do this. Just moving these guys here creates a zone of control around here, so now the Japanese cannot just march straight to Kunming. They will get caught in the zone of control. As for the communists, if we want to provoke further, we could move there, but then these guys will get flanked. There's nothing in particular here to keep for the Chinese. Are we giving up? Oh, we can't give up the resource, can we? No, not a good idea. We're gonna stay here for the moment. Just stay. And hope that the turn ends before Japan can get too much further. Oh, Canton is Chinese control, so they can just step in here. Well, it's not easy being China right now. And it's all... Wait a minute. Subtropical. North monsoon. That was where we spent the attack. And North monsoon is... monsoon. So land attacks are at a -1 odds level. And it's mud effects. That didn't really... Well, it mattered a little. I rolled a 6, so it turns out it doesn't matter. But instead of a 5-1, it was a 4-1. So thanks to the 6, it doesn't matter. Because it's... Even with the monsoon, they could just go ahead and barge in. I think it was still worth it, like 4-1. Yeah. If they had rolled like a 3 instead, that could have become more interesting. Yeah. Anyway, they didn't. They rolled a 6. They are on a roll here. We're doing axes again, aren't we? Yes, we are. Okay, so Japanese can now move like this. It could just move like this. Now we have the river here. They can't attack. They can't go across the lake. Have to go up into the mountains. I think I prefer this, to be honest. Because why send tanks into the mountains? So that's 2 steps. And I guess 3 steps. So even more US entry as the Japanese occupy Canton. We haven't seen this much US entry ever. The outrage is utter and complete. Now there's 7 against Germany, 1 against Italy, and 27 against Japan. I think the other Axis powers are like, Japan, please check yourself. But this is as far as they're gonna get. There are no more cities. They've just occupied like all the cities in the vicinity. And we can't take a step back here because that's the resource. Also, speaking of resources, -1 for China and +1 for Japan. Yeah, that was 3 steps. Right now, China is saved by the fact that it's a limited war and Japan can only take so many steps per turn. Alright, Allied. I haven't even moved anything for any of these guys. I guess I can move this guy to Kiev. Here we go. We've been railed. There isn't a whole lot for the Soviets to do. Apparently they're still not interested in creating any Khalkhin Gol situation in Manchuria. They're just hanging back and letting the Chinese collapse in on themselves, which is almost what they're doing. Almost. But it's pretty bad. I think the Japanese might want to, the Soviets might want to consider intervening here at some point in the not too distant future. I think that the reason they're not doing it right now is because the Japanese only have the 1 attack this impulse, this turn. So, what do we want to do here, if anything? I don't think there's a whole lot we can do with the Chinese, honestly. These guys are holding the line there. If the Japanese push closer here, they're only going to get like here-ish. And then there is the Hainan resource. And we can't really stop them from grabbing it. It's there, and that's all there is to it. So, yeah. I think we're doing a passing action with all the allies. Which means that the turn will end or a 1 or a 2. which is what China really needs right now. Nope, didn't get it. Axis will move again, and the axis we know is Japan. So I'm gonna move these guys there. This isn't even a port. That's okay though. 1, 2. Marines in the mountains! That's what we have. 3. Ushijima. Hainan is within spitting distance at the moment. But that's all we get. No more attacks this turn. We already know that. And it still doesn't end. The Allies can now end it on a 1-3. And as before, I don't think the Chinese are interested in doing a whole heck of a lot, because there is nothing much they can do. They're just stuck here. There will be more infantry coming in Changsha next turn. Or Wuhan. Or something. They need at least 2 more infantry and they're not getting it. They're getting 1 more infantry next turn. It's pretty bleak. Pretty bleak. On the other hand, it's July and August, so it's going to be a horrible turn for them next turn. Maybe that's when the Soviets come. Who knows? Passing! Nope, that didn't help. The Japanese Juggernaut will just go on. Obviously, we want to take Hainan. So, Hainan is no longer Chinese controlled, it's now Japanese controlled. That's another resource away from China, and another resource to the Japanese. It's been a very good summer for them. That's 1 step. Maybe I should have a marker so we know that this hex has been stepped on by the Japanese. That's 1, 2. I guess I could do 3. We need more infantry down here. And it's coming! Next turn, obviously. So, almost the entire Chinese coastline has been taken by the Japanese this summer. There is this one little strip of coastline left, which doesn't have a port. So the only way to help China now, if the Allies want to, with resources, which they can, because the entry that's been done, is through the Burma Road. And let's see if the turn ends here. It's a 1 or a 2. Nope. It's a long one this time, isn't it? I don't know that the Chinese want to pass here. Because look at this guy. Kunming is in actual trouble. Moving this guy down here. Because the zone of control doesn't stretch down there. But it doesn't stretch down here either. But we need to be able to check the advance. So I'm moving these guys here. Just in case. You never know. So 1, 2, 1, 2. The race for Kunming is on. Though to get there, the Japanese will need to be able to trace supply, which means moving Ushijima, so it's not entirely easy to get there. Okay, we will roll to see if the action phase ends yet again. And it doesn't! This turn just never ends, does it? This is very bad for the Chinese. Okay, so we've stepped on Hainan, we have it. We can step back here. Hainan is now Japanese. It's not technically out of supply, but I don't like leaving that gap there. So we're gonna move Ushijima down here. And move the Marines here, I guess? I don't even want to have the Marines here, but we don't have any other infantry to use, so that's where we're at. this is the gap here. But we can't move this guy down here because then they sneak through there. So it's just Chinese are too few and far between right now. Okay, maybe the turn ends and the Chinese will... Yes, the turn ended. The Chinese will get a sigh of relief after that juggernaut of a turn, which saw this Japanese just sweep across the countryside, particularly in the south, and occupy 4 cities in a single turn. Bad, bad news. Why didn't I use the paras at all during this entire turn? See, I forgot about them completely. I could have occupied Wuhan. No, that's a 4-to-1 assault table. Very expensive. This is the problem with the Japanese paras. They're not very good. We only have 1 of them. But they could be air transported somewhere. And I think we want to do that. So we're going to have them air transported over here. And that's going to be a flip unit like that. Not the 4-3, that 4-3. Thank you very much. There we go. Retroactively. I feel like that's something that... They're based in Nanjing. And can threaten Wuhan. We need more headquarters. The Japanese need another HQ to be able to provide supply inland. Logistical problems is basically the only thing that is keeping China alive at this stage. Partisan phase. Any partisans? A 5. Let's see. Sweden, Persia, Romania, France, Yugoslavia, occupied China, South Africa, Burma. Occupied China is definitely a place, isn't it? Though there are enough forces here that are not in a zone of control to keep partisans firmly under the Japanese heel, so yeah. They're not going to lose anything this turn. We don't have a US entry phase. Yeah, okay. 27. I feel like the US might want to respond a little bit to what just happened in China, because that was a lot. That was a lot. Okay, we have resources in China. They've already been done. We've done the embargo on strategic materials, the first step. We can do lend lease to... Yes, lend lease to China. To China, each allied major power may give up to 5 build points a turn, unlimited when at war with China. The US may use its convoy points to transport build points to China from the USA. We're definitely doing that one, because just ouch. So that is a 5. We'll be up to 31. Which reduces the effective US entry to Germany to 2, -4 to Italy, and 22 to Japan. But it also means that we can start sending money to China, which China will be very happy and grateful for. The US... There are no ports for the US to send that money. But the British can send via the Burma Road. Anything sent by the Burma Road is halved. Do they have... I think they have to declare that at the start of the turn. So I don't think it's going to happen this turn. If I remember correctly, I think it has to be done at the start of the turn. Lend lease. Double check, but I do believe it's declared at the start of the turn. Lend lease. Lend and lease. It's a strictly. Oh, in 4th edition, it's you're building troops, but that's not what's happening here. Chinese aircraft units, Commonwealth naval, may be built by the US, even if the US is still neutral, as a result of particular US entry options. That's in the 4th edition. Alright, we have the production phase. US money, 6 money to the US. This guy doesn't have to get in yet. That's enough. In the distant future, we have to get it, start building it in 39. This one has to start building 41. We have 2 transports here. And we have 1 more transport there and 1 more transport here. That doesn't help much, does it? Because again, we can't access... I guess we could get through French Indochina? Tracing supplies that way? Or does that require a treaty level? I think it doesn't. But we're thinking about these things. Let's build a transport for the US. It's never a bad idea to have a transport for the US. Okay. Oh, this is one of these... Okay, gotcha. This is one of these transports that can turn into a port. Which is lovely. Transport comes in there. That is what the US will build this turn. The Commonwealth has a 14 production per turn. 15 money. I feel like I want to check if they can send any money to the Chinese now. Because if so, they're definitely doing it. July, August 1938 is when we need to start building that one, which is not this impulse. We have... That is 1940. Okay, so I guess we can build another light surface with the British, because I think they've built all their transports. You know what? No. Yeah, we're gonna do that too, but we're also gonna build an actual infantry for the British. For the first time in a long time, we're building an infantry. So, that is 3 money. Makes 12. We're building a light surface as well, because that's a good old tradition here. And the Germans built the strategic bomber, so I feel like the British should respond in kind, right? Which is 6 money. An 8. This is gonna wreak havoc on German factories one day. Absolute havoc. Okay, so we have some infantry coming in. We have a strategic bomber. Just in case the Germans get any bad ideas. And then we have a light surface, which of course will be flipped, because we're laying down the hulls. I was going to look for the Lend and Lease rules here for 5th edition. As I said, we're cobbling this together. Lending resources. Yeah, that is during the resource transport segment, I believe. Operation. Very well. Yeah, that's Burma Road is the way to go. But it has to be declared at the start of the turn, I believe. Because... doesn't it? Like... Rules! My strong suit. Resource... transport. That is 8... Chapter 8 of the rules. Production phase. Lend lease. When it produces units of another major power, it's termed lend lease. Is in addition to any gift of resource points. May lend lease no more than 1 unit. Only armor may be lend leased. Only armored aircraft units may be lend leased. The US may lend lease surface naval units to the Commonwealth. Spending build points required to produce a recipient's units. But that's not the typical lend lease we're talking about now. We're talking about sending actual monies to China, and that's going to be through the Burma Road. And that's gonna happen next turn for the Commonwealth, basically, because yeah. Okay, 7 production for France. We have 7 production for France. 1939 is when they can gear up. There's gonna be a lot of gear ups in 1939, y'all. France will keep building infantry, I think. I don't see anything else. There's tensions in the air. Oh, we don't have any more infantry to build. Look at that. Would you look at that? Okay, then we want to build the last HQ, obviously. Which is Josh. And maybe another fighter. The last fighter, which is a terrible fighter. But it's a fighter, so it's there. So France did not build any infantry this turn. But it did build an aircraft. What we had ship and aircraft. That's what we had there. France is going to be fine. Just fine. No more infantry left to build. Where are all the other infantry? It feels like this isn't complete. Don't know what's going on with this. Oh, they have 2 more infantry on the way. And then I guess they will have... oh, they'll have to just move people out of the Maginot Line to get the rest of the border covered. That's classic France. Alright, Germany! Germany has to build everything. It's not easy being German. 16 production, 2 money, 18 in total. We had 1 ship last turn. Did France need to build? January, February 1940, so 1939. March and April 39. Yeah, this one has to get in. Which is a heavy surface. That's 5. Germany's expanding the Navy. We want to build 3 infantry, don't we? Which is 9 money. Should we build an HQ? Obviously. Rundstedt is signing on for duty. And so is 3 German corps that were not impressive at all. That is all the money Germany has this turn. Germany needs to build everything. This is basically an explosion of Wehrmacht right here. 3 new infantry corps coming in. A ship, 3 infantry, and that was it. Italy, production 7. What do we want to build with Italy? Oh, I completely forgot this, but I guess that's gonna... Yeah, that's... Return to base. That's fine. The bow... What do we have? Italian armor? Why not? We only have 3 more light surface to build. We have 6 transports to build. Maybe that's a little bit more urgent than armor. But I can't help myself. Let's go with the Italian armor. Light tanks. It's the way of the future. It's... What are they? Corazzata. Okay. If you say so. This is just to have an Italian armor on the actual map. That's the only reason I'm doing this. Because the best armor is the stuff that actually shows up on the battlefield. So if it's the only armor around, they could still blitz. The Soviets now have 6 money. You know what? I just might build an armor for that. Let's go. Okay. It's a 5-5. It's early stages of Soviet production. The Siberians and such are not around yet, are they? But the Soviets doing a little bit of armor somewhere. The Red Army keeps restructuring, rebuilding. 1 armor. Japan needs more of everything. We already know that. This one I'll have to start soon, in a couple of turns, but I don't have to start it now. July, August 38. That's next turn. I need to complete that one. There's a bunch of ships to repair for the Japanese as well. But that is also later concern, as it were. Right now we have minus 12 money, plus 12 production, so we have 9. And what was the gear limit last turn? 2 infantry, 1 ship. Clearly the transport is... The number of transports right now is our bottleneck. So let's build 1 transport. And 1 transport is $4. Yeah, they needed a transport. There's a lot of transports left here. And then 1 infantry apparently, because that is all the money we really have. No, I said I was going to build an HQ, so let's do that, which means no infantry. And that is Metsu. Metsu and a transport. If there's something Japan doesn't have problems with right now, it's the size of the army. Now the Japanese transport, that should have been built a long time ago, I feel like, but that's okay. Metsu's coming in. China, poor old China. 4 production per turn, plus 2. Let's just run it into all the debt, shall we? I can build 3 infantry. We will build 3 infantry. That's 9 money. Which brings us down to -7. China is in big doo-doo. But there we are. No, this is not true. I only built the 1 infantry last turn, so I'm gonna give them 3 money back. 1, 2, 3. And we're gonna put these guys back here again, and then we're gonna shuffle and pull out 2 infantry. That is what we're gonna do. There and there. Communist will be very welcome at this stage because that communist line is also weak. Like, all the infantry is welcome right now. Every single one. It's going to be a tough summer for China. I don't know how much more they can hold. But with that, China has... Oh, right, that was... Where's China? China, here we go. 2 infantry. Alright, that was all the builds. So we will do the return to base phase and final reorganization. And of course, we're returning to base. Let's return to base here this time then, I guess. Together with the infantry. And we're gonna reorganize these 2 aircraft units. I should have moved this guy as well. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Like each impulse, I can rebase an aircraft. So, yeah. It's not looking good for China. That is what we can say. Changsha will get a reinforcement, but it's going to be a very puny reinforcement, and I don't know if it's going to be enough to hold the line. But that is for future China to care about, because this turn is over. We have an Italian fighter wing in Tobruk, together with some tactical bombers and transport. And that's basically it. Nothing else happened in Europe yet. Germany is mobilizing its army properly. And apparently its air force. Will war break out in Europe in 1938? Or will it not? Only time can tell. But we will be here to cover it. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we will see you next week when July-August 1938 starts. And who knows how that is going to go for the brave Chinese are doing what they can to stop the onslaught. Which is not very much right now, apparently. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Poor China.